we are starting.
I should say on the screen.
On.
What?
Instagram. Smile, Vinny. Wave. Yeah, let's start.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so just by the way, it's already started. So this is episode 1 of 1.
No one wants to listen to us
I
after
know,
this
yeah.
shit.
Right, so episode 1 of I just call it How We See It. It's just seemed like a good heading for me. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Vinny Craine. I am an IFBB Classic Physique Pro. And this is Alan Kelly, aka Fitness, who is my coach, and we're going to have weekly. Well, look, might not be a weekly chat, but we're going to chat more regular and upload on YouTube. So Alan can just introduce himself.
Yeah, so as Vinny said, I'm Vinny's coach. I started AK Fitness probably about 10, 11 years ago. I've been working with general population and all the way up into professional athletes, be it physique or boxers or MMA or whatnot. My background is in performance nutrition, exercise mechanics, strength and conditioning. And yeah, it's coaching is something that I live and breathe, and I'm happy to be able to start this with a friend and client of the stature of Vinny, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. Like Vinny said, that it's just about giving our perspective to anyone who's interested. If you're not interested, fuck yous. On bodybuilding, and it's basically like Vinny said, it's how we see it. I like. There will be topics that might be controversial. There might be topics that we'll have to go into a little bit deeper with, but overall, I think it's important to keep it a little bit lighthearted and just share our experiences, our knowledge, and just basically just give an insight and shine a light on, especially what I want to do is just shine a light on Irish bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I know that you have plans to speak to a lot of different people, so I'll be jumping in and out quite frequently. So yeah, let's roll with it.
Right. So since you went on to the subject of Irish bodybuilding, let's just chat about the current state of Irish bodybuilding. So obviously with the whole COVID-19, everything's put on hold everywhere. But just let's say before the whole COVID-19 thing came in, do you feel it's growing or declining, or what's your take on it?
Is it bodybuilding as a whole, or in Ireland?
No, just in Ireland. Just in Ireland. We'll go on to international after this. Yeah.
I thought like it's a difficult one to state. Like I know some people will feel it's declining. The standard definitely isn't declining. Maybe numbers are a tad, and I think that especially amongst bikini athletes, it seems to be falling. I don't see enough as much bikini athletes as what I did maybe 3 or 4 years ago when it was the really popular thing to do. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know yet, because I know at the time bikini athletes were competing. A lot of people were competing when by right they probably shouldn't have. They hadn't got the prerequisites to compete, and they were jumping in because they thought it was sort of a cool thing to do. Soon to realise that they're left in a less advantaged position than post show. But I see a decline in females. We've never had a lot of bigger females over here. We've had some good ones, but we don't have the numbers there. Obviously, men's physique is still pretty much as big as ever. Maybe where I see a dip is in the weight classes. What was actually disappointing over the last 2 years was the numbers at NABA. IFBB seems to be pretty consistent. Maybe not quite as much, but consistent, that it doesn't feel empty. But NABA was for whatever reason, was it's very small. Like, and it's not down to the show quality. It's not down to the venue. I just it's that's sad to see, you know.
Do you think it's because of the whole look? I know the split and all came in, and the qualification process at RBBF, and you go into the Europeans, and don't get me wrong, the Europeans it's probably the best 5-day event you're ever going to do.
Mm.
It's so good, but
I think,
yeah,
yeah,
go on.
I think that the ability to go abroad, or the want to go abroad with NABA, maybe isn't what it used to be, and that's why there's more competing in the RBBF. But whatever politics was there in the past definitely isn't there now. But
No,
it isn't amongst the younger generation at all. Like, and I know I've never had a client that I wouldn't essentially let compete in either or federation, unless they were going to be competing abroad representing the RBBF. Well, then obviously that stature client can't go and win an ABBA show, you know. There's a conflict in interest there, but I do think maybe it is a little bit down to not really seeing. I don't even know. Is there much shows that you can do by the universe for an ABBA now?
that's the thing I was just going to add to that. Yeah, I think it's just the fact that there's so many other branches with the now the
There's so much
IFBB
further.
Elite. Yeah, and exactly, and that's probably is one of the main reasons as to why I picked the RBBF at the time, is because of
Yeah, well, like,
affiliated
if
with
your
the Pro
goal
League.
is to become a professional bodybuilder or a bikini athlete or whatnot, like, there's only one route there that you can really go. Like, you, it's not to take away from becoming a NABA pro, but when you're growing up, you don't grow up thinking, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you're not thinking about being a NABA professional. You're thinking about being an IFBB pro, and I think because of that, that's the route to go down that way. That definitely obviously plays a big part, but it's just sad to see because 90% of people that compete, 95% of people that compete haven't got the ability to go pro. So you should be enjoying these shows, and the likes of the PCA, the likes of NABA, like the quality in them is there. The shows are run superbly, so they should be full. And it's a difficult one to answer.
Yeah, I starting to see the PCA seem to be getting a little bit more recognition than NABA.
Mm.
Would you
Why though?
agree?
You know, I think so. Yeah, I think it's more because they're more frequent. Where NABA, I think people can nearly forget about NABA and it be becoming a little bit of an afterthought. And I think, like, one of the most prestigious things that you can achieve within Irish bodybuilding is to win the sword, to win the overall in NABA. And I don't think it gets much better than this, you know. Unless you do go pro and then you compete well in the pro league. But to have that sword at home, it would be something special. So and we know that from being around the Irish bodybuilding scene, but I don't think people breaking into it now really know that, because I don't think that NABA advertise themselves enough. I think the older generation that would really see that aren't actually that old, but would really see that as something to strive for. They're not people with great social media influences, you know?
Yeah, well, then we move on to obviously Muscle Contest, run by, well, it's obviously Brian Bullman is one of the promoters of that show, who is the son of Mick Bullman, who's part of the RIBBF. So you've got the sword then is actually presented in the Muscle Contest. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah.
So that again has took away the whole prestige
Yeah.
of winning the sword at NABA. They still give the sword in NABA though, don't they? I think Christian got it when I was there the last time.
I think Christian might have got like now I stand to be corrected, but I think Christian might have got a trophy. I remember one year that they gave out like a glass trophy, I think it was, like.
Okay.
I'm nearly sure that I don't know if it was his year, but fuck me, I would have been disappointed.
Yeah,
You know?
because yeah, the sword is the thing.
The sword stands for something, you know. Like, not, it doesn't take away from the achievement, but
Hmm.
I fucking pissed me off.
I actually don't think there's
But
a sword in the pro division in any of the. No, could be wrong. There probably is something
hmm.
somewhere.
But just you touched on it there. I do think that now that we're speaking about it, that the fact that there's PCA, there's muscle contest, there's the RBBF, which is the pro elite, there's NABA,
And the
there's
Natural
so,
Federation,
and then the natural, that's right, the
the
natural
M,
federation.
the
Then
MBFI.
You've got the Cork show. You've got then the ability to compete in two bros abroad, because there's no qualifiers we need to go through for that. Like within the UK, they have to go through regionals. I think the option to compete is huge. Whereas before it was like you do your national, so you do your spring show and you do your NABA show, and the cream of the crop advance, and the rest don't really, you know. Um, and I think that's, I would like to see it go back to that. But then at the same time, it's a double-edged sword that, like, it's fantastic that people with dreams and the qualities to go pro have um, more chances to do that. You know,
You
they've
wish it would
more.
go back to qualifying?
There's a little bit of me there that would prefer to see it to go back to qualifying, because I want to see all the best compete against the best in Ireland, as we all do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you've got an individual, male or female, that has aspirations to become a professional, it is nice to see that, because you're going to have to compete against the best anyway to do it. So, but it is nice to see that there's other routes. Um, but I would like to see more compete in Ireland at these shows, instead of skipping these shows and then competing abroad. And no one gets to see them. No one, like, it's
Yeah.
just, it brings Irish bodybuilding down a little bit, I feel.
Yeah, I just think it's look, these are questions I'm going to ask certain people when they come on. Like, I'll just be straight up. I'll say one thing that baffles me is why they don't want to compete in Ireland. Like, so for example, we talked about this before. The muscle contest Ireland, they don't bother doing it, and they go straight over to the England and do the two
Yeah.
bros show. Um, it just baffles me as to why you wouldn't want to prep and be more comfortable in your own country. You won't have to travel. You don't have to worry about your food. It's
You can control a lot more variables when you're competing at home,
yeah, like
as opposed to competing abroad. Absolutely. It
do you think it's if I don't do well in the UK, it's okay, but if I don't do well in Ireland, everyone's going to see it?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a little bit of
Fear.
yeah, maybe a little bit of fear, a little bit of that extra pressure, as opposed to seeing it in the other light, that you can control more variables. I think some individuals are seeing it as, well, I've got such a big social media presence, or they feel that a lot of people are expecting a lot from them,
Yeah,
so therefore I don't want to compete over here and potentially get bet.
I understand
Or
that. I can understand that, but you know what? At the end of the day, I think people need to realize not to give a shit about what other people think. And
absolutely.
that took me a long time to drill into my head, because when I was competing, I used to think the exact same thing. I used to be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, if I don't do well here, what are people going to say about me? You know,
Hmm.
they're going to forget about me."
Hmm.
Stupid little things like that. Whereas it shouldn't be like that. And there's always the one or two people that are going to talk shit.
Hmm.
The
Oh, don't I know that?
the begrudgery and whatnot of
But like that the begrudgery in Ireland, especially amongst a certain few males, more so, is there's no need for it. A lot of people don't want to see people do well, and I feel that can play a role in people not wanting to compete over here as well. Whereas the camaraderie and support should be there, because at the end of the day, we all go through the same process, the same sacrifices are made. Um, and everybody's trying to achieve their best version of themselves, as corny as it sounds, but it's the truth. And then it's an there's an underlying or an undercurrent level of begrudgery, or maybe you could call it begrudgery, that is there within some individuals. But I think these type of people are being found out and avoided, or their opinion isn't being taken serious, because a lot of the time they don't know jack shit anyway. But I definitely, I'd like that, even with doing this now, I'd love to see this become, as I said at the start, like chatting to different people and sharing our insights into it. I'd love to see this become something that can maybe bridge the gap a little bit between like rivalry. Like, you're a rival on stage, but at the same time you're striving for the same goals. Like, I'd have
Yeah.
people saying to me, it'd be between you and another prep coach that would be gunning for the most wins for the year and stuff. I'm like, no, not at all. It's, I'm trying to do the best for my clients, and he or she is trying to do the best for his clients or her clients. And like, it's a crazy way to see it, but there is that few that thrive and that love that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Look, it's looked the same myself. Look with all the other boys that are pro and classic physique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it just so happens that there's a contingency of you that are pro.
Yeah, but
you know?
I'm like,
Which
go on.
That's an amazing thing for Ireland.
I
Like, you've
know,
got yourself, you've got Shane, you've got IB, you've got Darren, and potentially others. I haven't left out anyone there that's in the classic physique, have I? Shane, IB, yourself, Darren.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
there's Josh Coyle as well. I think he's moved to classic physique as well.
Yeah. So I don't know Josh, but I know his physique. I know JP preps him, but
look, there is a good few amateurs out there that I think can get the
what a
wild card.
fucking show that would be.
Yeah.
If you put yourself together.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully they don't avoid it, you know.
Yeah, I know you won't.
No, but look, but that's the thing. Like, I think people seem to amateurs, they seem to kind of like try to avoid, oh, he's competing, I'm not going to do that show, I'm going to do this show. Maybe I have a chance of winning this one. Whereas I'd be the total opposite. I'd be wanting to jump in with the bigger guys and see where see where you stand. Look, if you don't come out on top, you don't come out on top. You're going to learn something. You're always going to learn something. But yeah, I'm confident that next year there will be about 2 or 3 of us on stage at the same time. And
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, look, it'll be a good hype, and
yeah, and that's it. And it will, like, I know we can use that as an anchor in your prep and the push, but like, at the end of the day, like, we're going to be gunning for it next year regardless. So and as we did with Portugal, picking the harder shows, you know, the tier 1 shows, and I think that is the right way to look at it. Like, but absolutely, like, I'd personally love to see yourself and a couple of others that have gone pro from Ireland compete against each other. Purely for, like, my job is to bring you on stage the best package. Shane's coach is the exact same. Everybody's job is the exact same. You're all focusing on yourselves. You're all going the same path. But on the day when you're all on stage, that'd be fucking brilliant for Irish bodybuilding.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Excellent. Phenomenal. Like, because these are all within the age group now that you are reaching your peak.
Yeah, but like,
maybe Bart IB, he's young, isn't he, IB?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's young. Yeah. I think Josh is young as well, Josh Coyle.
Yeah. So
but like,
yeah, it'd be exciting.
Like, I remember at NABA show years ago, and I remember the class 1 and the class 2 were phenomenal, and every single one of them were probably the best at the time, amateur wise, in Ireland. I could go name names, but like remember Enda Wright won it, and it was from that moment on, it was where I got hooked, was when I watched him. But I remember that whole lineup. Even Loch Gannon was in that class as well. Like, there's so many good names. Johnny was there. But like if we were to have something like that, but the fact that was in Ireland, you know,
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
just,
like,
and the crowd was nuts.
mm. And
But but we
it's
need that
bringing
back.
back.
We
Yeah,
need that
exactly.
back. We
It's bringing back that fire that was in it before.
yeah.
It's hard to do that when you don't have the want there to compete in these shows, and
It's
to
just like
have the best compete against the best, like, because
yeah.
everybody, there's so many different shows, everyone's competing at different shows. It's hard to get everybody to prep at the same time, and
Hmm.
it's frustrating, but this is the way it is. It's the way it is in the UK. It's the way it is abroad. We were a small island with only a handful of shows, and now we've more competitors, more shows. It is
Like
what it is.
the probably Portugal was definitely the best stage I was
Oh,
ever on,
phenomenal!
and even the
Yeah,
crowd was good. Like
I found that picture.
oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah, I have the video as well where he's come up. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
so yeah, so
send us that on. Yeah. So yeah. So then look, we've. Do you want to stay on the subject of the Irish bodybuilding? Any of the young
um,
guys you think coming up that are have potential, or do you want to just do that for another
yeah.
day?
Well, I think we can. Yeah, I don't mind. Like, I know there's like two of my guys now at the minute. I'm really confident both competing in physique. Um, that will that will like, Paddy's gunning for his pro card this year, and like we touched on there, he doesn't care what show he competes in.
Yeah, hold on,
Um,
I'll get him up. Paddy, yeah.
Paddy, yeah. So he doesn't give a shit what show he competes in at the minute. Um, so that's yeah, we're just going through off season now. We're going to start prep um, the 1st of July, and then we're going to just be aiming to go possibly to Alicante, and then see where we go from there. But Paddy at his age has all the attributes
Yeah,
to
what age is Paddy again?
do. Paddy's 23.
Yeah, he's got potential.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's fucking phenomenal. Yeah, and his attitude is phenomenal, and that's what, for me, that just makes it so much easier to coach, because he wants to learn. He wants to know why, and he's, to be honest, he doesn't give a shit who he competes against.
he's
And
tall,
at the
isn't
end
he?
of the day, yeah, he's very tall. Yeah, that actually took me back. He's like, taller than me. He's
Yeah,
6'2".
yeah. His head's tall.
Um,
Yeah, he's tall. Yeah.
yeah. So, and right now, like, he's not burnt out at all. Like, in terms of like usage, it's very light. His food is very high, and he's absolutely fucking gunning for this prep coming forward. And then there's another guy in Kerry that I have there who he'll be in a smaller class. I don't want to name him
Yeah,
because I
it's
don't want
okay.
to put
Yeah,
pressure on him.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, and just we'll see. But these two guys, both young, both doing very well. There's Mark Hodgson is a fantastic bodybuilder, and especially what I like about him is his attitude. I know he won juniors this year,
There, let me get this.
last year. Sorry. You've got the other guy who we mentioned the other day. I can never think of his name. He trains with IB. I think he gets prepped by Shane
Actually,
or
Mark put
Cuba
up
or
a
something.
story. I think he's 275 now.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think Mark, once he fills out his physique in the coming years, will be phenomenal. I don't know who that is. One of his clients.
Yes, there.
Yeah.
That's Mark.
So
Yeah.
once he has a long torso, so once he fills out his physique, I think he's gonna do some damage. But again, it comes down to his attitude. There's Giovanni. That
Giovanni.
I don't know him at
Yeah.
all. But I think he's another bodybuilder that can possibly go very far. And I'm sure there's fucking
Yeah.
loads that I'm missing out. So
I know.
I don't really like naming names. But I think I see him. He's a big boy. He's a big lad. Like, yeah. So I think that he's got definitely a big future. But again, I don't know him as a person at all. I've never even spoke to him. So I don't know what his attitude is like. I don't know who preps him. I think Shane could. He just, if he plays his cards right, he gets looked after. I think he does everything correctly. I think he's got a future.
He's quite young as well.
Yeah, he's fucking huge. He's dense. So yeah, I'm sure there's multiple people I'm leaving out, but
Yeah, look,
off the top of my head, that's
those three. I would agree with them three as well.
yeah.
Because I don't know that many, but it's what we want to, what I want to promote is the younger crowd coming up,
Mm.
making them aware of, what to do, what's right and what's wrong. Right. So we've covered much of the Irish bodybuilding so far until the next shows pop up. So we'll move on to the international bodybuilding. What do you?
Oh, you know me, Vin. I have my head in books and fucking shit and locked in my own cave. I know fucking. You be naming people to me, I'm fucking like, who?
Yeah.
Like, such and such from Spain who's competed 14 times in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll
But
skip that. We'll skip that.
No, we'll talk about it if you want. Like in terms of the Olympia going ahead and whatnot, in December.
No, what we'll do is we'll talk about that in another. That'll be a totally different topic. We'll probably end up speaking an hour about that. Well, I will. But look, we'll move on to coaching in Ireland. Obviously,
yep,
we're coaches as well. But when we see that one person that's done one show and automatically they're a prep coach. So what's your views on that?
They're poking me here. When you don't have the background in understanding human physiology, I think it's both ignorant and dangerous for the clients to be going into that sort of in-depth side of coaching people as it is with the contest preparation, because either male or female, you can completely ruin someone's psyche, and you can ruin them on a physical level as well as physiological level. So I think it's very irritating to play it down a little bit, but it happens, someone goes, competes once, they're a prep coach, they've got prepped by someone, and then they think that they know it all, but basically they're just scraping the surface as to what worked for them, what they've been told, without understanding the why behind it. I think there's no excuse for that. I think with the amount of information out there at the moment, there's no reason for people to not have a deeper understanding of physiology and whatnot. Obviously I'm big into the studying side of things and the learning side of things, and it can be frustrating, but it happens.
It is what it is. I know. Yeah, it is what it is. Like what I'd like to add to that is, like, I just lost my train of thought. I'm gonna have to edit that out.
Keep it in. But yeah, it's just fucking.
I was going to say something.
I would say it's somewhat disrespectful for coaches that I don't want to sound patronizing, because everybody has to start somewhere. But
it's a touchy subject because we're both coaches as well, and I just want to be careful what we say.
Yeah, well, I can only take it from my own standpoint. I didn't and this is the way I look at it. I spent years studying and mastering how to get an individual healthy. Then I started looking at transformations while I was continuously studying. Then as the transformations went from someone getting leaner for a holiday, or someone getting leaner for maybe a wedding or whatnot, then it transferred then to maybe a couple of photo shoots. And then I mastered all of these, whilst making sure that health is at the forefront of everything. Understanding male and females' hormones, responses, both psychological and physiological, and understanding this and spending time here before I went and prepped someone. So obviously, you're looking at, I've been in this industry for 12 years. So it's not just that I came out of college for my initial, say after I studied strength and conditioning, and then I just went, kaboom. After I done one show, or I went to one show, or I just liked bodybuilding, so I decided to be a bodybuilder. Or there's so much that goes on under the surface when you're looking at getting someone from a complete beginner to instilling behavioral changes and accruing a little bit of tissue and getting a result that way, as compared to, or having someone who is overweight to losing weight, compared to having someone who is well muscled, has competed a few times, is coming to progress the off season and then compete. So it's quite easy to get someone who's bad to good, but there's a lot more in it getting someone from good to excellent. And I think that it takes time, as with anything. It's repetitions. You know, you didn't just go compete in your first show and then go, oh, I'm going to go pro. I'm going to win Europeans. You know, but I think a little bit of the onus has to be put on the individuals that get prepped by these. You know, so like it's not difficult to find a good coach or a bad coach. You know,
Well,
as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, and the analogy you always use with the racing car.
Yeah, yeah. But Lewis Hamilton, yeah. So like, Lewis Hamilton is one of the fastest drivers in the world. But if my car broke down, I wouldn't ask him to fix it.
Mm,
You know, he
yeah,
doesn't understand it. He
it's a
knows
good
how to drive
analogy.
that car fast.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
So, um, but I do think I think, especially, I can only take it from my own experiences. When I start, I used to be sort of, I wouldn't say backstab, but people would be saying, ah, sure, he's all about the science, he's all about this, he's all about that, but he's won nothing. You
Mm,
know, you hire a coach for what they know,
yeah,
not what they've won. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think we spoke about this before when I had dinner with a group of guys high up, well known,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and one of them asked me who's my coach, and I said obviously it was at the time it was Chris Tuttle, and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Who the fuck is he?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, is
Yeah,
it what did he win? And I'm just looking at him going, like, what have you done? You know, because
that individual never even fucking competed.
yeah, but
That said that.
because he was involved with someone who was good, probably one of the best.
Yeah,
But it just it kind of just made me think what their mentality actually is, you
and I
know.
think
But
there
is
is
that the
still
old
that.
school? That's the old school mentality, or is it just
I think there's still a
ignorance?
little bit. I think there is still a little bit of that ignorance that goes
Yeah.
on, but I think there seems to be more of a shift, um, as to hiring coaches not based on that perspective solely. So I do think that it's shifted quite a lot in the last few years, but you're still going to get some individuals that will be of that thought process. But um, like, saying that, you have to walk the walk as well. Like, you need to understand what it's like to be down at lower digits of body fat, um, and what it's like to spend time in a surplus, to understand how to connect to a client on an emotional level, and understand the the mental fortitude needed to get through a prep, because that's not something that I could learn from studying nutrition. You know, it's
No.
something that you learn through experience. But
Mhm.
when changes need to be made, well, that's when you have to, your decision making is guided by the science. But it's guided by the science. You know, it doesn't solely mean that your experience is useless either. You know, experience is important, and time in the trenches is definitely important. But everything you do and everything that I do, as you know, is my train of thought is guided by the underlying science and the years of studying. From what I've studied, it basically translates into prepping people. You know.
Yeah, and keep them as healthy as possible.
Hmm.
But yeah, and we'll move on to like staying on the subject, but the fact that why I hired you as a coach is obviously I can learn that a little bit more. But
Hmm.
um, let's talk about why a lot of I'm not going to say a lot, some of the Irish competitors they seem to stray away from Irish coaches and they think that they go on to a lot of the UK coaches and the American coaches. I know I went to an American coach first, but at the time there wasn't really anyone in Ireland I considered. There was a few that I would have asked a few questions, but I just wanted to get the advice of someone like Chris because Chris he has the same qualifications as you. You know, master's degree in nutrition. Am I right?
Hmm.
And it just
I
seems
think
to be
he's a dietitian.
that. Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It was just I knew by working with him I could
I
learn a
learned a
lot
lot.
more.
Hmm.
Yeah, just by talking to him and saying just
Hmm.
I learn a lot
Hmm.
more from speaking to you, and obviously that all that together is going to make me a better coach. But
Hmm.
what's your thoughts on a lot of the Irish guys getting coached by people in Europe and America?
And girls too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Sorry, yeah, yeah.
just being PC, you know. I don't want people to say that you're sexist, Finn. You know.
No.
Um, yeah, it's what can you say? Like, sometimes people think that just because they're not in Ireland, they're better, you know. But when you look at what someone is preaching, like say some of the more established coaches in the UK, a lot of the time, all the good coaches are preaching the same things. It's not that, and have the same sort of background in academia and background and their thought processes are roughly the same. Um, why they got? I really don't fucking know.
Can I tell you what I think?
Yeah,
I think it's the fact they see you not competing as regular as these other guys.
yeah, maybe, yeah,
I honestly think
yeah,
that's what that is.
possibly,
What?
possibly, yeah.
We just
But
going back.
I have no aspirations really to, or I never have, of being a pro bodybuilder.
I
My
know, yeah,
aspirations from 18 to now 29 was to be the best coach, you
yeah,
know,
but
learn as much as I could, you
but
know.
you're not in bad shape either. You know what I mean? It's not as if you're like,
Oh, of course, yeah,
it's not
yeah.
as if you're going like a string bean. But like
No, no.
there's like I know Chris Aceto, he
Hmm.
he was a bodybuilder, but he only
Hmm.
competed in one or two shows, and then he
Yeah.
became a coach, and he's
Hmm.
considered one of the best coaches around.
Hmm.
So like, but everyone wants to
Yeah,
go to him.
yeah. So I've competed a handful of times and done a handful of photo shoots, and maybe I possibly will compete again, but I will only, like, for me competing is I'm a goal orientated person and I love bodybuilding, and that's, I would be competing for them reasons, nothing to do with me competing or with me coaching, you know. But I think that people might see that and be like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't go with AKA because he doesn't compete frequently. But like when I look at some of the other coaches now, like um, over in the UK, like some of them don't compete frequently too, but they seem to be in trend at the minute, you know.
Yeah,
But look, it comes around, goes around. I don't lose sleep over it. Some of them coaches are brilliant. Some of them are terrible. Um, that I see people with and people promoting. Um, and some of them play on the fact that they're a pro. Um, and yeah, fair play to them.
yeah, no. But I don't know if I want to keep touching on this subject. Look, we could speak all day about this subject,
Hmm.
but look, we'll move on. We'll move on. That'll be interesting. I don't want to talk too much about that.
I think before I digress though, like to take myself and yourself like out of this equation, and I don't want it to come across that I'm making myself out to be some sort of fucking superhero. Like,
Hmm?
I live my life essentially to coach, as you know. But there is some really good coaches in Ireland that are extremely underrated, you know, and there's some coaches in Ireland who are extremely overrated. And it comes down to maybe social media presence. I know a handful of coaches that would be some of the best coaches in the country that have very little social media presence, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just something that I there's some very good coaches over here,
Yeah,
as well as there's some fucking terrible coaches, but you know, so be life.
yeah. Look, we'll get look as we get
If you want,
rolling
I'll
on.
list them off.
No,
Like
no,
get our viewers up.
no. We'll do that for
Who's
next
a bad
episode.
coach?
No, no. We'll do that'll be the next episode because that'll create more interest. So yeah, we'll do an episode on that. Look, let's just wrap it up, and I just want to ask this last question, because I just want to keep this short for now. Do you think, or do you consider bodybuilding a sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's disrespectful to anybody that goes through the sacrifices and the expenses and everything that's involved in bodybuilding to not call it a sport. I think that especially for professionals and whatnot and people that have devoted their whole life to it, to call it a hobby, I think it's somewhat disrespectful. I think that when you're doing it like the way I bodybuild, yeah, I bodybuild for a hobby, but when it comes down to the way like I don't want to talk about people abroad, but if I say like for the likes of yourself, for the likes of Loch Gannon, like this contingency of the best that have came from Ireland, um, I think it's unfair to call it a hobby because you can't achieve
Oh, yeah.
them looks from a hobby, you know. And then if we do look abroad, like how can you not call the guys and girls that compete in the Olympia or the Arnolds?
A professional hobby.
How could you not call them? Yeah. No, when fucking darts is labeled a fucking sport. Come on,
Oh,
like,
they don't get me
no.
started on that.
Everybody that loves darts now in the comment box. But
I'd watch darts.
um, yeah, but that's you. You've
I'd watch any. I'd watch any sport.
yeah.
But look, we'll wrap it
But
up
yeah,
there.
I definitely see it as a sport. Definitely.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Just wanted to get that question in there because it seems to be.
But you don't get a coach for a hobby, do you? No.
I know, but like,
Would you have when you're sitting at home playing Call of Duty? Would you have a coach sitting there
nah,
beside you, telling you what to do? Tactics. Ah.
no. Call of Duty. What are you on about?
Yeah,
But
I've heard.
yeah. So yeah, we'll finish. We'll wrap it up there. Um,
I'm a flying kite. I don't care. I'll do anything.
right, okay.
You'll upload it on your social media or whatever. I'm sure.
Yeah. Look. We'll film that maybe sometime next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, look, we'll wrap it up. So for whoever's watching this, thanks for watching and subscribe and keep up to date on notifications.